Kristi Jacques. So cool. Kristi's a musician. She plays guitar. She writes great songs. She's from the Charleston, South Carolina area. She's got these great videos. She made me do something that I've never done with a guest before. And one of her videos, she's playing a song and singing it. And the song I haven't heard it in a while, from the 80s. And I was staring and I saw the chords and I saw her singing along. I paused the video and I went to my guitar and I started playing and singing. It's just absolutely contagious. She's great energy. Kristi has just love having a conversation with her. In 2009, she's diagnosed with sarcoidosis, which is she has these lumps on her lungs. She's connected to oxygen 24 hours a day now. She's trying to get on a list to get a double lung transplant. So it slowed her down as far as live performances. She's also type 1 diabetic since she's a kid. But her energy and her fire is there. And I have a GoFundMe link here in the show notes. Please donate. It's very expensive to get this done. But Kristi Jacques, just fantastic. Love talking to her, and I can't see what she does in the future. Thanks for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. Kristi Jacques, thanks so much. I'm so excited to talk to you. Why are you a musical mutt?
I started when I was little. My father always had the country music station playing during breakfast. So I listened to a lot of country music when I was little. Then I started listening to more rock. I studied classical music and opera when I was taking vocal lessons. So I listened to everything. I love most everything. So I'm a musical mutt.
Yeah, yes, you are. I heard you use that term before. I don't hear a lot of country in your music. I listen to a decent amount.
There's hints of it here and there, but I mean, I've been influenced by some of the artists, but I'm more of the rocker girl at heart. So
yeah, it seems that way. It seems your music kind of gravitates toward that. Tell me about your writing process, Kristi. You say that you're just constantly thinking of lyrics. You see them. You wake up at night writing them down. What's your process like?
I honestly, I don't really have much of a process. It will happen randomly. I can be sitting here talking to you and then something pops into my head and I have to write it down. Wow. It could be a word, a phrase. It could be anything. And I have to write it down. It doesn't always happen all at once. So I'll write something down and I can go back to it. And sometimes things that I put together, they these little snippets will somehow excuse me, work together. I can put things down that I've written over a year,
Wow.
and they'll come together in a song.
Where does that come from, Christy? Are those yours? Or is it coming from somewhere else?
I have no idea. I have been woken up in the middle of the night, sometimes with an entire song in my head,
Wow.
and I don't know where it comes from.
I keep
Just
it's so amazing to me, the process, and I keep on I just wanna understand it because 'cause I'm not sure if I ever experienced it, but I keep on coming up with the same the classic story where, you got, Bob Dylan writing All Along the Watchtower, and then within weeks, Jimi Hendrix performs it live, and Dylan sees him doing it and says, "That song was never mine. That's the way it should be performed," and he never performed it again. So, they believe artists believe that it just kinda comes to them, and they might not be the particular vessel for it. It's just fascinating to me.
yeah, it's music is a strange thing. It's a wonderful thing. So I'm very grateful to be able to do this.
It really is. There's another story where Bono and Edge from U2 wrote a song, and they just kept on saying that this is a Roy Orbison song. It's not our song. And so they approached him with it, and it's the last song Roy Orbison performed before he died. It's called "She's a Mystery to Me," and it's written by U2, and they refused to perform it because they just felt it was his song.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me. It gives me
Mhm.
chills.
Yeah, sometimes you can hear something in your head with another person singing it. I mean,
Mm.
it can happen.
And when you create a song like "Feeling Fierce," right? When you create a song like this, what do you want the listener to come away with?
I don't really have any set intentions on what the listener will get out of it. I
Mm.
think it's up to the individual because everybody's going to feel something different. It may be a wide range of people will feel something with the song, but it'll affect people, each person differently. Same thing when I listen to some of my favorite bands. It may not be what their intention was or what they had in mind when they wrote it, but my feeling of the song or my interpretation of it is going to be different.
It's so important, isn't it? Because I often hear people say, "Oh, well, that song's about this and it's about that." No, it's not. It doesn't. You could decide whatever you like. I mean, that's the beauty of art. When I go to an art museum, and even if you get a tour, back, this artist made this during this time. This represents this and that. I think, well, that's all fine and great, but I'll really take away what I want to take away from it. It's not up to them anymore. They've released it now.
Exactly. Yeah,
And that's real important. I mean, you can interpret anything the way you want. That's the actual beauty of art, I believe.
absolutely. And that's so, it reaches more people that way.
Feeling fierce, feeling wired, spread
Yes,
my wings. It's time to fly, rise above all the mire. Never thought I could get higher. Feeling fierce.
yep.
Tell me about that. How did you come to that chorus?
Actually, the chorus, I worked on that with my co-writer and producer, Tavis Stanley. He and I do a lot of work together, and he's amazing. But I think all of my songs are kind of related to my own personal journey,
Hmm.
and it's how I cope with it. It helps keep me centered and focused and motivated. And so I get a lot of these. frustrations and emotions out
Mm,
in my lyrics.
it's an outlet for you.
Absolutely. It is the best outlet for me.
And you have to do it. It's not people I like creating music that but it seems to me, especially in your place, in your situation, Christy, it's like you have to do it. I mean, it just seems it's natural for you.
Yeah, I have to. I can't do anything else now. In my other life, I was a health coach
Yeah.
in a nonprofit organization. I did all these different things, but this is where I was meant to be.
And it's contagious. My goodness. I watched you, playing Robert Cray, right? Guess I showed her. And I'm sitting there, oh, I know this song. And I want you to play it. Wow, that's E minor and A minor. I went and grabbed my guitar.
Yeah.
You inspired me to go grab my guitar. I looked up the sheet music and I'm singing this song for 10, 15 minutes now because you just did it so effortlessly and so wonderfully. And it's contagious. That's another beauty of art.
Oh, I'm very happy for that.
Yeah, it was absolutely great. It's just he's very underrated, great guitarist, Robert Cray. That's another whole
Yeah.
conversation. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, that was from Strong Persuader, I believe, from the '80s. Um, your other song I really like, which is another, breaking down the walls. Um, I don't know why I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll do it anyway. The
That
life
is the theme of my life.
that is, yeah. The life that I'm renewing is changing day by day by day by day. It's never all that simple to change your crazy ways, but it could start the ripple that alters everything, breaking down the walls. God, I wish I could do that, Christy. That's incredible.
Thank
You
you.
you you have this producer, I believe he's in Las Vegas. You're in North Carolina or South Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of just technology today that you could work together like that.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
yeah, it's wonderful. And talk to me about creating a hook in songs.
That is where he comes in. He's
Ah,
better at that than I am. I'm just the lyricist. Excuse me, my voice is a little shaky today. But working with him and and my other co-writers that I've had, they help me create the music and melody.
so when
And
you're writing these lyrics down, Christy, you never think this should be a G, D, A. You never put those in.
no, I sometimes I've done that in the past, or I'll have an idea of the vibe or the mood of the song, and occasionally I'll have a melody in mind for like the chorus. But that's what I have the co-writers for.
It's amazing. And how do you know when the song is done?
When he tells me it's done.
Ah, you don't have final say. You don't think you should add this, or you just
Oh,
trust your producer.
he'll send me different versions of the mixes, and I'll give my input, but I trust his instincts.
Hmm. So in 2009, you're diagnosed with sarcoidosis.
Yes.
You're also type 1 diabetic,
Yes.
but sarcoidosis is there's lumps on your lungs. You're going to Los Angeles next month to get further evaluation to hopefully get a transplant.
Yes.
How's it been dealing with that? I mean, since 2009, it went into recession, then it kind of came back.
I did great. I actually put myself into remission a couple of
Remission, positive
times.
recession. Yeah.
But in 2019, the end of that year, I got what I believe was COVID before it had a name.
Ah.
And it took me down for about 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I've never really recovered from that. And then
Hmm.
2021, my right lung collapsed and I had to get it repaired. And the procedure they did to do that took me down a whole nother 10 notches.
Wow.
So I've been constantly trying to get back to where I was before. You know, it is what it is. It's a speed bump. Um, I'm better now than I was. Although, now of course I'm on oxygen 24/7, which hasn't been the case until beginning of last year. So, but I do what I have to do to keep going.
Right. Yeah, you talk about not being able, you can't perform live. It's you went to some great shows, but one particular one you couldn't go to because it was just too hot and the device wouldn't work properly. So you've got to work around it. But that can't stop your creativity, Christy.
No, no, absolutely not. It may discourage me from doing other things, but the creative process has never stopped.
And you have a GoFundMe. It's up on the website. We'll make sure we post that. I mean,
Yes.
it's not cheap to do. So you go to Los Angeles, and then you try to. Are you on the donor list?
No, I'm trying to get on the list.
I see.
So I'm going to Los Angeles, but I'm also looking at other hospitals too because I need excuse me. I need to have a caregiver in place. And having a caregiver relocate to Los Angeles is a big ask.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at hospitals in Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and on the East Coast.
Right. You're originally from Charleston, South Carolina. I think that
Yes.
you're in the Myrtle Beach area now. I mean, how does the geography of the South and those great cities influence your music, or does it at all?
I don't think it really does,
Hmm.
honestly. And I've never been asked that question before. I grew up with a lot of music, and Charleston is a big music town, or it
Yeah.
really was when I was growing up. And that's Hootie and the Blowfish. I saw them like every weekend.
Huh.
Edwin McCain, the same thing. So I heard a lot of these bands before they got signed, but I don't think that's really influenced me at all.
Hmm.
It's just something that was always there.
Right. Your father playing music when you were young, and I
Actually,
think
my brother played music.
that's right. He actually played guitar. He's no longer with us, but you have a
Right.
couple of his instruments. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think you said that your father just sang in the church?
Yeah. He just sang sitting in the congregation,
Hmm.
but he had a beautiful voice.
It's amazing. Like my mother just had Beatles albums, and so I just played those Beatles albums. But I mean, if she didn't have those around, I wouldn't have, fell in love with it. It's just your circumstances. You just don't know. She had some other ones as well. And her punishment to me was taking away the music, and,
Yeah.
and so it's just what you're exposed to and what you end up loving. And then you kind of broaden from there, and, I started listening to a lot of hip hop and some others that she didn't like, but doesn't matter. But you always kind of come back, and I just can't imagine a life without it. May you never be broken again.
Yes.
What's the significance there, Christy?
That is a lyric from a excuse me, um, one of my favorite songs from my favorite band, Alter Bridge. The song is called Blackbird, and I've got a tattoo now
Yeah.
with that. So it has great significance because when you have so many different health issues, you do kind of feel broken. So once I get this transplant, not if, but when,
When? Yes.
I won't be broken.
Hmm. Again.
Yes.
Because even in the Beatles' Blackbird song, Blackbird singing in the dead of night,
Yeah.
take these broken wings, learn to fly, so um, I hate to, sorry to keep going back to the Beatles, but I just had that image of a blackbird there, and it says you never be broken again. I think
Yes.
is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went and listened to that song, by the way. Great, great song. I wasn't familiar with it until I heard you talk about it.
Yeah. I
What did
love
you love?
it.
What did you love most about live performing, Kristi?
I never really did much of it besides an occasional open mic night here and there,
Yeah.
or there's a big festival in Charleston called Spoleto. It's an arts festival, and I would sing with a group, a chorus. But it was really great because there was a lot of energy.
Mm.
A lot of people listening, and you kind of absorb the energy from around you, and it's fun. And the open mics were fun because sometimes we won money,
Ha.
so that was great. But it was fun to see people enjoying what we were doing.
I mean, I watch your videos. You're singing Poison. You're singing Guns N' Roses. You're singing Robert Cray. I mean, you could just tell you're having the time of your life there, Kristi. I mean, you just love it. You're glowing.
Well, thank you. I enjoy it.
And
Yeah.
just talking about the diversity of just those three artists, by the way. Um, Poison you did Patience, I believe, from Guns N' Roses, and
Yes.
Every Rose Has Its Thorn. I don't know, by Poison. I don't know if that's the title. Then, of course, Smoking Gun by Robert Cray. Very interesting selections.
Yeah. The Smoking Gun. For some reason, that song just popped into my head one day.
Huh.
I don't know. I hadn't heard it since the '80s.
Huh.
So, eh, so I looked it up. I'm like, oh, I can play this.
Yeah.
I can
I
do
do
that.
I do the same thing. And oh, so my guitars, when I walk past them, they just mock me, and you got to pick them up. It's just, um, you, I heard you talk about you had to go to Connecticut to look at a guitar. You ended up treating yourself to one, and I seen pictures of it. How's that doing? How's that going?
It's good. Yeah. Well, I didn't get the one in Connecticut, but I did buy one in Nashville. My Nancy Wilson signature Epiphone,
Nice.
because she's another hero of mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
She's just awesome.
Yeah, she is awesome.
My brother always loved her because she could play guitar and kick her leg up high in the air at the same time. So he had a crush.
Very talented two sisters right there.
Oh my gosh, the
Yeah, heart.
best.
Yeah, started as a cover band, I believe. They do all Led Zeppelin songs, and yeah, they were here recently in town, and I saw them. Cheap Trick opened for them,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's still there. Her Anne is the sister, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Anne can still sing very, very well, and
Today is her birthday, actually.
how do you like that? Wow. Wow, so she's the same astrological sign as me then, Cancer, I believe. Well, maybe it
Nice.
didn't start yet. I don't know. I don't know how that works. But Yeah, it is great to see it. Now, are you mainly rhythm on the guitars?
Yeah,
Yeah, me
definitely.
too.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to do some leads, but my fingers don't really work that way yet.
Mm.
I just it's practice. When you
Is
don't
the
touch it for over 25 years,
Ugh.
you know, it takes
Yeah,
some time.
it does. It does. How does technology
Mm.
help in I know like even tuning my guitar, I just open up an app and use that and has technology helped in creating music for you now?
Oh my gosh, leaps and bounds.
Right.
When I worked in the music store in Charleston, we sold all kinds of recording equipment, all those big consoles, mixers, everything that would take up an entire room or building, actually. And now my recording equipment fits over here on my desk in a little space about this big. It's crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And it makes it so easy because, again, Tavis lives in Las Vegas, but I can record vocals here and just send it to him. And then he puts it all together. I mean,
Amazing.
it's can't get any easier than that.
I remember I go back to the Beatles, of course, but I think they just had 4 tracks and they had to kind of re-record and reuse the tracks and I remember hearing stories that they didn't even have a power to some of them and they had to use something else. And I mean, just absolutely amazing where we are now with the technology and not only in just recording, but with voice and just fixing mistakes. If you ever play on any instruments and where you can record on hundreds of tracks, it's just, and live stream and I'm in the technology field, so I always enjoy talking about this. How do you
Yeah.
think AI is it going to help or hurt the music industry?
Ugh.
Look at you. You don't
I'm,
like
I'm
it.
I'm not a fan.
How come?
Well, I just saw something today that one of the music groups is training AI to do something with vocals now
Huh.
to make them more, I guess, human like. And, you know, that's not a good thing.
Hmm.
They can take somebody's voice and copy it, and the actual artist is kind of left out in the cold.
Yeah, we see how AI has like created new Doors songs or created new Nirvana songs, right?
Yeah.
Getting their body of music and saying, okay, they could do this now, which is really interesting. I wonder where that's going to go. Is the music industry fair to the artist?
No.
Wow, that didn't take you long.
No.
Has it ever been?
I don't know because I'm just now getting into it,
Mm,
and I'm into the streaming Spotify age, and we get nothing
right.
unless you're a you know number one artist.
1%. Yeah.
You don't get much.
Yeah, I've even heard like Snoop Dogg complain about it, and each it's like 0.00000, 4 cents a stream or something.
Yeah.
And there was a big initiative to just move it to a penny, and then it kind of disappeared. But because Apple's part of it, and it is amazing to me how some of the artists, I remember this a few years ago where Apple, if somebody was trialing iTunes, that they wouldn't pay the artist for that trial where a person was trialing. They wouldn't get any compensation because the end user was trying, and it was just like one letter or one tweet from Taylor Swift or somebody big, and Apple changed their whole policy. So we need some of those top people to say, hey, you need to treat these artists better. We need more help from them, because these companies will listen, because they need to pay attention to them. That's where we need real help, right?
Yeah, although Taylor Swift, I think, is getting all the Spotify royalties.
Yeah, probably her and a couple others, right? And Beyonce, and yeah, yeah. I mean, there's superstars,
Yeah,
there's always going to be them, but there's plenty of room for others. So I mean, maybe that's the bad side of technology is that, hey, we can get all your stuff out to all these people, have a larger audience than you ever had, but you really won't get paid for it.
yeah. Plus, there's so many people now that anybody can put something on Spotify.
Right.
You can record something on your phone and get it up there.
Right.
And a lot of times, indie artists will get lost in the crowd,
Right.
and so it's hard to stand out.
Yeah, there's almost 3 million podcasts, and yeah. And so, the great thing about podcasts is that it's low barrier to entry. Anybody can do it. The bad thing about podcasts is that there's low barrier to entry. Anybody could do it,
Exactly.
So you just try to stand out, and you try to get your audience. I think that's a good so when I was a kid, albums were $8, $12, and they were trying to get you to go. I'm sorry, yeah, you would go to a show, go see the Eagles, go see whoever, the Kinks or whoever it may be, and they would say, "Hey, go buy the album." They'd make all the sales. Go buy the album. The albums are Kiss or whoever. Go buy the albums. Now it's the opposite. You give the album away, and you pay really high concert prices.
Right.
Really high. Taylor Swift is not an inexpensive show.
I've heard. Yep.
I don't know what the trade-off there. I don't know if that's good or bad, but nothing replaces a live performance. So we're not going to have any Spotify or technology that's going to replace that. That's where the energy happens, the magic.
Oh, it's there's nothing like it.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when it's a great show. You'll remember it for
Yeah.
forever. Forever. What's your advice to artists, to musicians these days with this completely changed landscape?
You have to do it because you love it.
Mm,
You can't do it because you want to be famous or you want to make a lot of money.
right.
You have to love it. That's about the gist of it. Have a passion for it, have a need to tell your story, get something out, and just keep working at it. Keep getting better. Nothing's going to hit it out of the park on the first try.
Mm,
On occasion that may happen, but
right.
it's just it's a process, and you never stop learning.
I always wonder, some of these artists have been around for a while. Are they producing more music because they love it, or just because they think it's going to sell? And it's a tough line. It's a tough it I don't know. Why do great artists only have a certain time that they're it's debate whether they're great and whether they're not now. I don't know. I throw out like go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was say, look at the Rolling Stones.
Okay, there you go.
They just put out a new album, which is great, and it sounds like the old Rolling Stones, and they're out there touring, and Mick Jagger, who's 81 years old, is dancing around like a 20-year-old.
Yeah, sure is.
And it's amazing, and they haven't stopped. And I mean, what they're doing is great. They have a need for it.
That's a perfect example, Christy. They have a lot of money, and they don't need to put out new music. but they have to, right? They feel like they just it's coming out of them, and uh yeah, and the fans will come, and yeah, exactly right. Mick Jagger, I understand. He like one of the trucks has all his workout equipment in it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, he's a force of nature.
It really is. He is a force of nature, and Keith Richards, God bless him, and whatever he's been through, and it's it is amazing. It is hard for a lot of the new artists. I mean, the only how do you find new music?
I have suggestions from
Yeah,
friends,
that's it.
YouTube, Spotify, uh, Instagram. I'll find people there, just different places.
It's hard. It's
Yeah,
difficult.
yeah.
It's really difficult. It's not. I mean, I don't really listen to the radio anymore. So I don't hear these this new artist and this new song. I hear from a friend, or maybe I watch Saturday Night Live, and they always have generally new artists, or I might see somebody there and decide, or like say a friend or a podcast might mention somebody, but I'm sure there's lots of great talent out there, and
Oh, yeah.
I go to Nashville for events, and I like to go to see live shows, and I see some of these new music. There's so many talented people, the musicians these days, absolutely wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah. And we don't have MTV anymore.
Right, that was another one.
The radio stations in my area really don't play new music.
Mm,
We have a couple of different classic rock stations,
right, many of those.
and it's the
Right.
same songs.
It's the same songs. They're great, by the way.
Yeah.
I love listening to Leonard Skinner and the Cars and
Oh, absolutely.
AC/DC and the Beatles. Fleetwood Mac and I love them all. But yeah, I would just like to sprinkle in something
Mm.
new, but it's not what the people want.
Yeah.
I heard Rick Rubin, the great producer, he said that when he got Spotify, he was very excited that he can now listen to all his music that he wants to hear. And he said it didn't last long. He eventually found out that he wanted to be programmed to. He wanted to be able to sprinkle in, here's some new music, or here's some things that are similar, but that he hasn't heard in a while. And that he longed for those times where, he could be programmed to. It's very interesting. We think it's so great. I mean, right now, if you and I wanted to listen to Stairway to Heaven, it would take us 5 seconds, right? We could just, in the old days, I'd have to find the album, and I'd have to lift the needle up, and I'd have to go, and it might have a scratch on it, or I might have lent it to somebody, and, where's my Led Zeppelin 2? Is that 2? So, but now, but there's good and bad. And now I just listen to my playlist that has my favorite 100 songs. I just default to that, and it's good and bad.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
But
Christy,
it
I'm
is what
sorry.
it is.
It is. It it's not good or bad. It's just different. It's just different. We have to get used to it. I mean, I saw the Eagles perform last year, and they did the Hotel California from beginning to end, and it was wonderful. It was like listening to I mean, it was so good, and there's just live music is never going to be replaced. That's the big encouragement. Go
Right.
after you get this long,
That
you can't, right?
no, AI cannot replace live
It
music.
can't. It can't. Once you get the transplant, Christy, are you going to perform live again?
Oh, absolutely.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
I'm,
course
I'm
you are.
I've already got a list of songs that I want to perform, and you know, I've got plans.
Roger Daltrey from The Who recently had an interview, and he said that there's one thing that's ruining the concert experience right now. And he hates it. Do you have any idea, if I were to ask you to guess, what you think is ruining the concert experience?
Cell phones.
That is what that you would think, yeah, that'd be one everybody recording it. Yeah, that would be one. That's not what he said. He said that there's these, companies out there that lets you know what the set list is.
Huh.
So they were you just said you're gonna have some music that you're gonna perform. So they figure out they understand what the artist just performed the 2 nights before, and they're probably gonna do this because they did that, and it's ruining, he thinks, because now people come and they already know the songs that they're going to perform. What do you think about that?
I don't know if that's ruining the live experience. I have a group of friends who follow Alter Bridge and Slash and the Conspirators, and when they go to a concert, some of them will get a set list from the stage,
Ah,
and they'll post a picture of it. And generally, those set lists are standard for that leg of the tour.
I see.
There may be some changes here and there, but you know what to expect, and it doesn't matter because you're going to a live concert. You're going to hear some of your favorite songs and see your favorite bands.
Mm.
You know, it doesn't matter to me personally.
I mean, who's gonna play Fooled Again, right? Who's gonna play Bob O'Reilly, right? They're going to play, Who Are You? I mean, they're
Yeah.
not going so knowing beforehand, I wonder, but I don't know, he's of that generation, and he just doesn't like the whole idea. I thought it was, I thought it was pretty interesting. So, Chrissy, I started my business in the '90s, and I was working way too hard at it and not paying attention to myself. You're very familiar with this, and before you know it, excuse me, I found myself at 340 pounds, right? That I was just eating poorly, a lot of soda, etc. And the doctor said to me, if I don't lose this weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. So my daughter was just born. So I took the next 6 or 7 months. I lost 130 pounds, and I kept it off. And people always ask me how, like, there's some quick answer, some quick solution. And my one word answer is just discipline. That's how I got it off. I got focused. I developed a routine, etc. Discipline is how I lost it. I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life, Kristi Jacques.
Well, there's certain things that I have to do on a regular basis.
Right.
I have to take my vitamins, I have to take my medicine, I have to get in some sort of workout. I'll generally do vocal exercises. I'll do guitar practice, or I'll do some writing. I have to do things throughout the day.
Mm,
Now, sometimes my discipline is severely lacking,
mm.
especially when it comes to doing things like housework. I'll let that go, to take care of the other more important things. But yeah, you have to be disciplined to get to where you want to be.
I reached out to some musicians, and they replied, said, "Look, we're anti-discipline. I don't think we can, we're a fit." And I said, "Well, isn't anti-discipline still a form of discipline? I mean, there's real no wrong answer." So I think sometimes discipline kind of gets this stigma, and I wonder if it's with artists. The reason why I'm an artist because I'm not disciplined. But still, you still have to practice your vocals. You still have to practice your guitar. It still involves some. And I'm not Mr. King discipline, by the way. Believe me, I lack in lots of areas. I don't mean to be on a pedestal at all. Believe me, but I just kind of have this thread that I like to talk to people through. But I think artists have to have this kind of discipline, perhaps more than others.
Yeah, I know some artists, they will schedule songwriting, put it on the calendar,
Wow,
and they'll start their day that way.
wow.
It just depends on the person.
They need that structure.
Yeah,
Yeah, this time I'll sit down and do this. Yeah,
yeah.
that's very interesting. Yeah, that kind of routine. Yeah, and that order.
And sometimes that can trigger something in the brain
Mm.
You know, if you're doing something every day, maybe something will, that light bulb will go off. And
Hmm. Hmm. What motivates you, Kristi?
I'm motivated by being happy and having
Hmm.
fun and working towards my future. I don't watch the news. I don't listen to sad things.
Hmm. Hmm.
I watch comedies. I
Hmm.
watch shows that make me laugh, uplift me, because I always want to try and stay in a positive mindset, which can be difficult at times. I mean, I've
Right.
had my moments for
Yes.
sure, but yeah, I've got to stay focused, stay positive as much as possible, and just keep going and having fun doing it.
You are having fun. Your videos are great. I absolutely love it. And so, given that motivation, how do you measure success, Kristi?
That's a good question. I think personally, I just that I'm maybe reaching people. Like
Impact.
you said, that I inspired you to pick up the guitar.
Yeah, you did.
So that is a success for me.
Mm,
You know, if I can if I can inspire people to do something or to start paying attention to their own health,
mm,
you know, that's success. It would be great if the financial success came along with it,
right.
but that's not my main motivation.
And that's evident.
Yeah.
It's evident, Kristi. I mean, the videos are great on TikTok. You got YouTube. You make videos for your music, and um, I really enjoy it. I can't wait to see what comes next. I can't wait to see you live. Um, Anybody listening, how can they get in touch with you? Thank you so much for your time today, Kristi. This has been great.
Oh, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. They can find me on all the social platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. You can find my website is kristijakesmusic.com, and that's JACQUES.
Very good. And Kristi is with an I, Kristi.
Yes,
Jakes Music. Yeah, we'll make sure to put that in. We'll put the GoFundMe there as well. I encourage people to do that. Kristi, thank you so much for your time. I hope one day when I'm in the neighborhood and after the transplant happens, we can have a cup of tea and I could watch you live.
that would be awesome.
Kristi, you be well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pin's Discipline Conversations.